That Sunday, the kitchen felt like a courtroom and I was the defendant. They laughed when I said I wanted to become a game developer, as if my dream were a trapdoor to a joke. My father's chair screeched its verdict. My mother's eyes watered with a smile that didn't reach her, and my sister mocked the flicker of hope in my hands. Ridiculous, she said, without irony. Embarrassing the family. The words sat on the table between us, a cold, stubborn coin. I stood, not tall, but unbending. If I'm going to fail, I'll fail on my own terms. Then I walked out, not with certainty, but with a stubborn spark that refused to go dark. I slept in buses and cheap motels, ate noodles that tasted like pennies, coded in libraries when the world slept, and learned the language of tiny miracles, a line of code, a stubborn bug, a prototype that didn't crash, a scene that finally sang. The road was gnawed by hunger and fear, but it was also bright with small victories, an itch. Upload that drew a crowd, a mentor's nod at a local hackathon, a studio partner who believed in a shared ridiculous dream. The nights blurred into months, months into years. I learned to tell a story with pixels, to coax emotion from a sprite, to turn a stubborn failure into a stubborn lesson. I sold a few restless ideas to people who cared enough to bet on strange things, built a real team out of stubborn friends. And every release, I watched the numbers creep up with the same raw gratitude. We did this. We did this not because the world owed us a chance, but because we refused to stop asking for one. Then the dream changed shape. Our indie game, Hollowtide, found a community that didn't just play it. They lived in its corners, argued about its endings, and kept returning for more. The studio grew from a fragile kitchen table setup into something solid. A place where artists and programmers and dreamers learned to hold each other up. We shipped updates, won a handful of small awards, and finally earned a voice big enough to be heard beyond our city limits. People started recognizing the name in the credits, not as a joke, but as a stubborn heartbeat they respected. I returned home not with vengeance, but with a quiet, careful momentum. The trip was a long mouthful of air, the kind you swallow before stepping into a storm. The first floor of the house looked the same, but the air felt different. Charged, as if a door had swung open somewhere inside us all. I stood in the doorway of the living room and let them look. The old photos on the wall had a new frame, awards, press clippings, a monitor mounted like a trophy. My father's hands trembled, not with anger this time, but with something that looked like awe. My mother's mouth trembled, and she whispered, almost to herself, "So this is what you meant." My sister's eyes finally returned my gaze without judgment, and for a long heartbeat we just stood there, listening to the quiet hum of the house and the distant buzz of the city outside. "Did you hear them?" I asked, finally breaking the stillness. This is what I meant. This is what I became because I didn't quit. No triumph parade, no fireworks, just the simple, powerful moment of being seen. The door closed softly behind me as I turned back to them. And in that quiet, I felt the weight of every doubt I had carried lift away. I had come home not to prove them wrong, but to hold up what a dare can become when a stubborn dream refuses to die.